There are millions of people injecting themselves with a drug right now designed to activate a hormone that your gut makes naturally. And the pharmaceutical companies spent $20 billion designing a synthetic version of something that your gut was already designed to make when it has the right condition. And that hormone is called GLP-1. And the molecule that turns it on, the one that's been sitting in your gut this entire time, is called butyrate. Hi, I'm Lauren Grace, acupuncturist, integrative medicine physician, and co-founder of Healus. And today I want to show you the exact biological mechanism that connects your gut bacteria to your metabolism, your appetite, and your blood sugar. And how fixing that system is not only possible, but it's how your body was designed to work. Now, I want to be really clear about something before we get into the science. I'm not here to tell you that GLP-1 medications like Ozempic are bad. They have helped a lot of people, and I respect the research behind it. What I am here to tell you is that most people chasing these results have never been told that their gut was supposed to do this in the first place, and that it stopped doing it for a reason. In my practice, I saw a pretty typical pattern when it came to weight gain and blood sugar issues. There would be chronic craving with stubborn weight loss and metabolic issues that diet never seemed. And when we would run different gut panels, we would see a lot of the same things: inflammation, lack of diversity, and lack of something called butyrate. And we'll talk more about why butyrate is important, but essentially low levels of butyrate are associated with low levels of GLP-1. And low levels of GLP-1 means your metabolism and your blood sugar is going to be off. And drugs like Ozempic essentially fill in for what the gut lost the ability to do. But they never really address the underlying issue, and that's what we're going to do here today. To start, let's talk about how your gut makes GLP-1 in the first place. And this is going to start with your gut lining. Lining the walls of your intestines are billions of specialized cells, and amongst those specialized cells are something called L cells. L cells have one primary job. They sense when nutrients are passing through, and they release hormones to tell your body how to respond. One of those hormones is GLP-1. And GLP-1 is basically your body's master metabolic regulator. When it's released, it signals to your brain, you're full, stop eating. It tells your pancreas to release insulin now. It slows gastric emptying so that glucose can enter your bloodstream gradually and not as a spike. And it supports fat metabolism and energy regulation. Now, here's the piece that nobody talks about. Your L cells need fuel to do this work. They need energy to produce and release GLP-1. And their primary fuel source, the thing that they run on, is butyrate. Butyrate is a short-chain fatty acid that's produced in your gut when your body digests and properly breaks down fiber. Think of your gut as like a garden, and the bacteria are the workers, and the fiber is the food for those workers. And butyrate is the compost they produce. It's the rich bioactive material that feeds everything else. When your gut bacteria is healthy and diverse and you're eating enough fiber, they produce butyrate pretty continuously. Butyrate then fuels your L cells. Your L cells go ahead and produce and release GLP-1, and GLP-1 regulates your metabolism. Now, why does the system break down? For one, a lot of modern diets are low in fiber, which is not going to help, but there are other factors as well. The antibiotics and medications that we take affect our microbiome. The processed foods that we eat certainly affect it, and even chronic stress has a pretty profound effect on your microbiome. Essentially, your microbiome is affected by everything you consume, as well as your environment and your stress levels. And a poor microbiome is, of course, associated with so many gut, brain, and immune issues, but it also affects your GLP-1 production. Under these conditions, butyrate production drops, which means your L cells aren't getting the fuel that they need to properly produce and release GLP-1. And now your body loses its natural ability to regulate appetite and blood sugar like it was designed to. This is not a pharmaceutical deficiency, this is a gut deficiency, and it is fixable. I want to zoom out for a moment because the butyrate and GLP-1 connection is more than just your metabolism. Butyrate plays many roles in the body in addition to fueling the cells that release GLP-1. And many of the other systems in the body that butyrate helps support has an impact on GLP-1. To start with, butyrate plays a major role in your immune system. Butyrate doesn't just fuel your L cells, it fuels the cells that make up your gut lining. When those cells are well nourished, they maintain something called tight junction proteins, which is basically what keeps the gut barrier sealed. But when tight junction proteins are not well nourished, they tend to break down, and then you can have something called leaky gut. One of the issues with leaky guts is that certain toxins, like one called LPS or lipopolysaccharide, that are normally locked away inside your gut bacteria, leak into the bloodstream. And your immune system sees this as a foreign invader and it goes after it. This can create chronic systemic inflammation. Butyrate also supports a very specific type of immune cell called T regulatory cells, or Tregs. They are the decision makers of your immune system. They essentially decide what is safe and what is not. Without enough butyrate, Tregs don't function properly and can start to misfire. And when that happens, the immune system starts to attack itself, essentially, leading to autoimmune disease. Now, why this is important when it comes to GLP-1 production is that chronic inflammation combined with leaky gut can affect multiple systems in your body, including your gut microbiome and GLP-1 production. Now, when we talk about GLP-1, we have to talk about GLP-1's connection to your brain, because GLP-1 receptors are not just in your gut, they are also in your brain. When GLP-1 is released, it travels through the bloodstream to activate reward centers and satiety centers in the brain. That's why the drug works, and that's also why when your gut produces it naturally, you feel more clear-headed, more satisfied, and more in control of your appetite. Now, this is all happening along what is called the gut-brain axis, which is basically a two-way communication system between your gut and your brain. And butyrate plays a role in this communication. Butyrate crosses the blood-brain barrier. It actually helps to reinforce the blood-brain barrier as well, but it helps to lower inflammation in the brain, it supports the growth of new neurons, and it influences neurotransmitter activity. So you have two things happening at once. Butyrate is helping your gut to produce and release GLP-1, and at the same time, it's supporting the different systems in the brain that GLP-1 signals to, which means you're not just improving the signal, but you're improving how that signal is received. So now you understand that butyrate supports GLP-1 production directly by fueling and stimulating L cells, and indirectly by supporting the immune system and brain health. The question is, how do you actually restore butyrate levels? Dietary fiber is number one. When you eat and are able to properly break down a good amount of fiber, your body produces butyrate. But the key here is a lot of fiber. I'm talking like a good 30 grams. And you want to make sure that some of that fiber is coming from resistant starches, so things like potatoes, green bananas, oats, legumes, lentils, things like that. Now, the issue that many people run into when they try to consume a lot of fiber is that if they already have a compromised digestive tract, maybe you have some inflammation, bloating, IBS-like symptoms, you're going to have a hard time taking in all that fiber. And if you do take in all that fiber, your body may not be equipped to properly break it down. And if you're not properly breaking it down, you're not making butyrate. It's a bit of a catch-22 because you need fiber for a healthy gut, but you also need a healthy gut to properly digest fiber. And this is where supplementing with butyrate comes in. Now, when most people are searching for butyrate supplements, they're going to come across something called sodium butyrate. And I'm going to be straight with you, they're okay, but they're ill-equipped to accomplish what we're trying to do here. And the reason why is sodium butyrate, for one, is affected by stomach acid, so you're going to lose some of it in the digestion process, and the rest of it is absorbed very quickly and higher up on your digestive tract. So it's going to be absorbed higher up on your small intestine, and it's really unlikely that it's going to actually make it to the colon. And your L cells, the ones that are making GLP-1, they are located in the lower part of your small intestine and your colon. And that's really where you want butyrate to go if you want it to have an impact on GLP-1. There's also a smell issue. Sodium butyrate smells like vomit, and honestly, it makes anything that it touches also smell like vomit, like your hands. Now at Healus, this is why we use tributyrin instead. Tributyrin is a triglyceride form of butyrate. You can think of it as butyrate wrapped in a fat molecule that protects it during transit. It's stable, it's relatively odorless, and it's the most bioavailable form of butyrate. Tributyrin is absorbed very slowly along your intestinal tract, and it reaches that lower part of your small intestine and your colon where your L cells are. At Healus, we created a butyrate supplement called the Complete Biotic, which utilizes pure liquid tributyrin, which that is the most potent form of tributyrin. It's going to be much stronger than powdered forms. We also use patented delayed release capsules to ensure that no product breaks down in stomach acid, and the capsule actually doesn't open until it reaches a certain pH in the small intestine, so you're getting optimal absorption. Now, I want to be clear that supplementing with butyrate is not a direct replacement for medications like Ozempic. That's because medications like Ozempic deliver much higher amounts of GLP-1 than your body would naturally produce. That's also why it comes with some side effects. Supplementing with butyrate is a great natural alternative to support your body's own GLP-1 production. And instead of side effects, it comes with a whole lot of benefits. And I do want to talk about some of those side effects for a second, just so you can be aware as consumers. There is some new research that recently came out, as recently as the beginning of 2026, from the University of Adelaide. Here, scientists were looking at the oral tablet versions of Ozempic and Wegovy. So these are the new pill versions, not the injections. The active ingredient in them, semaglutide, needs a carrier to be delivered through the bloodstream, and that carrier is something called SNAC. Without SNAC, the pill would not be absorbed properly and it wouldn't work. What the researchers found was that SNAC itself, the carrier, not the drug, was associated in measurable shifts in gut bacteria. It also elevated inflammatory markers and changes proteins that are linked with cognitive function. In other words, the pill form of GLP-1 may be disrupting the very gut environment that it was created to compensate for. I'm telling you this to illustrate something important, and that is that pharmaceutical interventions that are designed to bypass the root cause almost always have secondary problems associated with it. And like I said, supplementing with butyrate is not going to replace a GLP-1 medication, but the clinical pearl here is this. If you are using a GLP-1 medication and you want better results from it, or if you want to reduce your reliance on it in the future, the most logical thing you can do is restore the gut environment that was designed to be producing GLP-1 in the first place. This is where butyrate can act as a complement to these medications. Rebuild butyrate production, repair the gut lining, support your L cells, and give your body back the conditions that it needs to do what it was supposed to do all along. So whether you are looking for a natural alternative to GLP-1 medications, or if you are looking to support your gut microbiome while you are on these medications and reduce the side effects, butyrate is a great choice. Now I'd love to hear from you. Are you currently on a GLP-1 medication, or have you been looking for a natural approach? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, if you could give it a like, that would be amazing. And if you think this video would be helpful for someone you know, if you could share it, that would be great. You can find more about everything that we discussed in the description below, including our butyrate supplement, the Complete Biotic. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day.